A few years ago, I realized that many of the apps, habits, and tools that I introduced into my life that were supposed to make me more productive and better organized turned me off from actual goals and tasks I could have been doing. So I started removing them, discovering much more clarity. This simple act made me think what else in our lives we're clinging onto that we should have just let go a long time ago. Let me introduce you to Lady Klotz, professor at University of Virginia and author of the book Subtract: The Untapped Science of Less. He discovered that humans are actually hardwired for accumulation and addition. After a series of experiments, they discovered that faced with a problem, human brain actually by default choosing the adding option. Even if a simple removal of something would have been more productive, much more obvious, cheaper, and just better solution. It's a real cognitive bias, and our brain doesn't even think about the option of removal unless it's specifically prompted to do so. The most famous experiment they did is they provided a bridge made of Lego blocks, and they suggested participants to improve the bridge stability. In the first group, when they just said improve, most of the participants were adding blocks, although the easiest and most stable solution would be just remove one block. To the second group, they specifically told you can actually remove blocks, it's possible, and in that group much more people used this removal solution. Without naming this option, our brain never even thought of doing that. Many reasons were named why it happens to humans. Some of the reasons are evolutionary, but some of the reasons simply cultural. As a society, we often trying to progress, and when we remove something or subtract something, we feel like we lost something. Many of the societies, they basically evolved around this idea of constant progress, making more stuff, creating more impact. Have you ever heard of a corporation that tries to make less impact, to try to produce less things? No, of course not. Though not 100% at the fault of each individual, but it doesn't serve us very well in the modern world. We live in the era of absolute abundance, absolute insane abundance of stuff, and when we have access to everything at every second of our life, it can be harmful to our brains. The same goes not only to the apps and social media you install on your phone or tools you install on your computer. In general, it spreads to everything you consume. In the modern world, we are extremely overstimulated because we're trying to take in. Doesn't matter whether it's FOMO or boredom, we just consume absolutely insane amount of information without a chance to process it. And that's how we got to this point where a lot of people in the world simply unhappy. But this rule spreads even further to our beliefs, identities, relationships, habits, and everything we do in our day-to-day life, and also to the directions we choose to take. We are in the constant stress of missing out. We envy others, and in the attempt of fixing that, we try to take on more and more stuff, do more and more things to make it better, but it only gets worse. I first noticed this effect with myself in the digital clutter. I was trying to find more apps, more tools, start more projects. All I did was adding more and more digital things to fix my productivity, and it was only making it worse. Then I discovered Cal Newport. He's a computer science professor in Georgetown University and author of the book Digital Minimalism. Here's what Cal saying in his book. Clutter is costly. Cluttering their time and attention with too many devices, apps, and services creates an overall negative cost that can swamp the small benefits that each individual item provides in isolation. That's when it clicked for me. If we're taking one one thing in isolation and look at it, it seems like it's improving our lives, but we rarely zoom out and take it from the wide perspective, how it all fits together in our lives. That's where I quickly realized that to make my life better and more productive, I need to stop adding new things and actually start subtracting. That's the path to simplification. And I think realization of the costs of adding new things was one of the best revelation in my recent years. And I started act on that, of course. I removed most of my productivity and tools and hacks I've been using and replace them with simple things that just get the job done. Instead of to-do lists, I simply have pen and paper near my laptop. Instead of overcomplicated Notion documents, I just have Apple Notes. And instead of overthinking and procrastination and overplanning, I have journaling. It eventually led me to the path of asking more and more of this question: which parts of my digital life are still holding me back, still making me miserable? And I started analyzing my journaling entries, and it started pretty obvious that social media played a big role into my misery. Eventually, I decided to completely quit social media, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. It felt like so much weight was lifted off my shoulders. No more FOMO, no more shallow social interactions, no more performance, and it just felt great. Following the advice from the digital minimalism book, I also started experimenting with digital detoxes. I'm trying to do them at least twice a year for 3 to 4 days, if work, of course, fits into this schedule. I always come back from them with so much better mood and just pure clarity and relief in my brain. But even in day-to-day life, I started putting my phone somewhere in the corner of my house. Simple technique that's called landlining, when your phone is always plugged in, and if you need to check something, you need to walk towards the place where it's plugged in. It helps a lot because I don't encounter it often when I walk around the house, so I don't have this distraction. I also read more and more on offline devices. I read mostly on Kindle, and recently I started getting more physical books, which I think even a better step for reading. And I also try not to bring my phone when I'm walking outside of the house, and so I have actual time to think and not to check everything on my phone. Just simply trying to find more hobbies and activities in the physical space, in the physical world, instead of digital. I'm still not perfect, of course. I have my ups and downs in that area of digital minimalism, but it's a journey by definition. That's why I like journaling so much. You can reflect onto what's happening and then make some adjustments or change your lifestyle. After I realized how important was for me this digital decluttering, I started look into more stuff that may be holding me back. It could be a relationship, it could be beliefs, it could be some old habits. I've been possibly living with them for many years or maybe for my whole life, and I was never questioning them. And this journey is actually much harder than digital declutter because it requires a lot of reflection and asking the question why I'm doing this thing or another and why I have these beliefs. One very dangerous aspect about that is some of the beliefs can become our identities, and if changing habits is more or less possible, changing an identity, it's the whole other story. It's much harder, and it requires a lot of deliberate action and reflection. In my opinion, having your identity attached to the thing you do, to your job, is a very dangerous path, and it's not a good idea. For example, recently we see a lot of headlines like AI taking our jobs, as we identify ourselves as software engineers, designers, or product managers, when some of the tasks that we've been performing and associating with this job start being replaced by the machine. What does it left us? Who we are now? Is a machine taking our whole identity? Is a machine replacing humans? That's quite scary thing.
I just don't know who I am without my work.
Okay.
But if we don't attach ourselves too close to the job titles, we actually might see that from the different angle. We see there may be many options. We see it maybe as just another layer, another abstraction on our job, and we can automate annoying and boring stuff and focus on something that we really enjoy. In general, what I'm trying to say with this video is that when we remove all the clutter that's blocking our view from our lives, we might actually start a very beautiful journey of learning about who we actually are inside. Removing things from your life doesn't really leave you with a hole, rather it adds much more clarity to the lens you seeing the world through. The rest is just tools that can help us to get there. But make sure you're using the right tools that actually fits your journey and cut off the rest. Practically following the premise of this video, I just want to give you one advice. Start journaling. Start asking questions about who you are, why you do things this way or another. Start asking questions why you believe in one thing or another. Just listen to your opinion, unfiltered, unbiased. There is nobody to perform. Nobody is ever gonna read this journal except you. So just be honest with yourself. You can just write everyday entry about a certain belief or habit or thing that you have in your life, and just try always asking the question why. Because these questions prompt you to actually think about the reasons, and if you can't think about the reasons of having something, it might be not needed. It's a very long journey, so don't expect it to fix everything in your life, but it's a very interesting one, and some answers you will find in your journaling might surprise you. And if you discover these things that no longer serve you, I definitely recommend you to start aggressively removing them and try to get to this point of clarity. And if you've been living in a clutter state of mind as I did, it's definitely gonna be helpful. If you feel like you're constantly overwhelmed, try to be even more aggressive. Maybe try strategy when you just remove everything unless it's very vital or unless you have this hell yeah reaction on something. From there you can always just pick up the things you miss. It's a great strategy to go on as well. You might go even further and start asking the same questions about people and relationship in your life, because some people might also have effect of cluttering your life and not making it any better and sometimes worse. In my experience, it's all very well worth it, and the journey of learning who you are, of self-understanding, it may be one of the most interesting journeys we can take in our lives. The more you subtract from your life, the better will be your ability to listen to yourself and learn who you are. And the more you listen to yourself and know who you are, the better you will be knowing which things to subtract.